गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Sitaram Lakshmana Hanuman. Jaya Sitaram Lakshmana Hanuman. Jaya Sitaram Lakshmana Hanuman. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Jai Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Shri Shri Radha Gokulanand ki jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Shri Shri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Svapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sankrajatam Sarapana Raghunathan Vitam Tavisajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sadhukana Lalita Shri Vishakhantitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. This is the first time I'm coming to Avanti Court School. Very nice to see such a beautiful school. I have been to the other Avanti Court, Avanti, Krishna Avanti. It's nice to see so many Avanti schools coming up where children have the opportunity to get very good spiritual values and culture. How many of you are parents or relatives of children who are in this school? Please raise your hands. Okay, it's quite a few. So you are very fortunate that you have your children in a school where priority is given to spiritual values and culture. If at all there is a need in this world, that is the need for genuine spirituality. Without this, everything else seems vacant and pointless. Because even if we make so much advancement in our material life, economically, commercially, technically, militarily, socially, in so many ways, still, without spiritual development there is something missing. A vital element is missing there. And that is the imbalance in the society today. The meaning of the word education is to give people or children real character and wisdom. It comes from the Latin word educare, which means to bring out what is already within. So what is within us? Our own divinity and spirituality is latent within us. The spiritual spark inside us has to be fanned. And when the spiritual spark is fanned, our spiritual nature blossoms. It is not something artificial that has to be imposed upon us. Spiritual life is something that is automatically manifested in the heart when favorable conditions are created around, just as when a seed is planted in a fertile soil and there is water and good atmospheric conditions, then the seed fructifies into a wonderful plant, eventually giving flowers and fruits and so on. So also, the heart of a child is like a fertile soil. It's like clay in some sense, also you could say. Depending on the kind of seeds that you sow inside, you will get a certain kind of plant that grows from it. If you try to have a seed thrown on a rock, it will not produce any plant. So, as the saying goes, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. So meaning that once one is old, it is very hard to change one's ways of thinking. One's attitudes, one's habits, one's lifestyle becomes very difficult. However, when one is young, it is easy to mold one's character. And one can easily understand higher things in life. One can reflect on things of a higher nature. But if one doesn't have the inclination, then at a very young age, one may be misled by bad association, by bad company. Many times people ask, and especially I suppose most of you look like you are from an Indian origin background or related to that. So many times people ask in India, and they discourage children from being exposed to spirituality because they say it's too young. Spiritual life or religious life is something that should be done when people are very old. It's for old age. This is the greatest misconception that we can have. Actually, our whole culture is full of examples of young children becoming great devotees and spreading the message of spirituality to their friends. The greatest example we can think of is that of Prahlad. I'm sure we've all heard of Prahlad. He was only 5 years old when the Lord appeared as Narasimhadev for him, as a special incarnation, and saved him by killing his demoniac father. The father wanted to kill the son because the son had become a devotee of God. Such a strange situation. And Prahlad remained steadfast in his beliefs and practices and his faith and his devotion. Many times in their school, I'm sure it must have been something like this, beautiful school. And of course there was a difference. Here we are giving emphasis to spiritual values. In Prahlad's school there was no emphasis on spiritual values because the father didn't have any interest. So he told the teachers, make them nice atheists. So then the teachers were trying to follow that order faithfully. But in the break, in between classes, Prahlad would take his friends aside and he would speak some philosophy, something devotional to them. And the children would say, Prahlad, we are only little children. This is not the age for us to, indulge in spiritual topics and discuss philosophy. We are only 5 years old. This is the time for playing and frolicking. We should wait till we are old and mature. Then we can take to this. And then Prahlad speaks a very important verse. He says, Kaumara acharya pratyam dharman bhagavatanya durlabham manusham janma tadapyadravam arthadam. He says, no, my dear friends, it's not the fact that we must wait till we are old to take to spiritual life or to understand spiritual values and culture. In fact, it must begin from the age of 5. And we are 5 years old now. Kumar. Kumar is the age of roughly even before 5 years of age. Kaumar achare pranyo dharma bhagavatam iha. So this Bhagavad Dharma, this Dharma by which one develops love for God, one connects to God in love and devotion, this should be started at a very, very young age, in fact from childhood. Why so? Dullabham manusham janma. Because this human life form, my dear friends, he said, is very rare. After so many millions of births of the soul traveling through many species of life, does one get a human form of life in which it is possible to understand God and discuss spiritual topics. It is only possible in the human form of life. We don't find animals or birds sitting and discussing these topics. The human form of life is endowed with superior intelligence. But that superior intelligence is being misused today, and we think that the proper use of that superior intelligence is to dominate other species, to dominate and exploit nature and other people and living entities. We think that the use of superior intelligence is to conquer others, other worlds even perhaps. We think the proper use of superior intelligence is to make computers and spaceships and big buildings, and these are undoubtedly remarkable things. But that is not necessarily the use of superior intelligence. Now there is a lot of effort being put into going to other planets and settling down even on other planets. There are private companies and airlines that are selling tickets to go to Mars. Are you aware of it? And there are people selling tickets, and it's serious. The people are paying money to do it. And in some cases, they're selling one-way tickets to Mars. And actually, one girl from Kerala in India, she actually was selected for it. You have to pay money and you have to go through rigorous tests to be qualified, to be selected for that. So she also was among 200 people selected the whole world over to be eligible for traveling to Mars. So Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, used to say that even if you do go to other planets, what are you going to do? The same trouble that we have created here, we will create over there. We have destroyed one planet here, we will destroy another planet over there. We have killed each other and hated each other here, we will do the same over there. The same issues, unless we change our inner consciousness, simply changing our place is not going to help much. So therefore Prahlad is saying that the human form of life is very valuable. Because the goal of human life is to understand God, is to understand the purpose of our existence. Why am I here? What is the purpose of existence of this material world? What is real happiness? Who am I? These are fundamental questions that have to be asked. And nobody teaches this. In no school, in no college is this being taught. Yes, now with Krishna Avanti school, Avanti group of schools, there's some difference here in London. At least the children are being taught that you are the spirit soul, you are not this body. This is the basic teaching of the Bhagavad Gita. With people, even with PhDs and a lot of educational qualifications and intelligence, do not know. Something that a little child here in Avanti court would know, that I am the soul. The soul is eternal. The body is temporary. Something that is so important, the most important branch of knowledge, that is not known to them, to the people at large. Whereas small children who are being educated here, they will know that I am the spirit soul. Once when Srila Prabhupada was in an American university, he was lecturing and saying how there are many departments or faculties in any university. There is economics, there is literature, there is languages, engineering, mathematics, medicine, so many departments. But of all the departments of knowledge that exist, that could exist in the human civilization, the most important subject is the science of self-realization. To know who I am. And then Prabhupada said in that lecture, where is that university that has a department or a faculty that teaches the students about this topic? The most important topic, who am I? And then somebody asked the question, why is this more important than other branches of knowledge? Why is knowing ourselves better than knowing, let's say, nuclear physics or economics or whatever else? And Prabhupada said that unless we know ourselves, how can we know other things? Who is it that is trying to know these other subjects? It is me. It is because I have a desire to better my condition, to know more, to be happy, that I am doing whatever I am doing in my life. So therefore, understanding oneself is the most important subject in life. Once we understand who we are, then the mysteries of this universe, the mysteries of our life and existence will slowly start getting unraveled. But so long as we don't know this fundamental point, that I am an eternal spiritual being, what is the use of developing a whole civilization of so many branches of knowledge that are based upon a wrong understanding of life? The moment we deny the spiritual nature of our existence, we are denying a very fundamental reality. So how can we be happy when we are denying reality? So, the necessity of teaching self-realization and spiritual subjects to children is paramount. So Prahlad said, because this human life is so important and rare, therefore we must start as early as possible, my dear friends. And even though it is temporary, tad api adhuvam, even though it is temporary, it is very rare. It is very meaningful, arthadam, because it is only in this human life that one can understand such topics as self-realization. And elsewhere Prahlad Maharaj says, this topic of Bhagavad Dharma, adhitam uttamam, is the best learning, is the best department of knowledge. The highest learning that we can as human beings acquire. That is not to say that we should not acquire knowledge of medicine or economics or mathematics. Certainly we should do these things because we are living in this world and we need these branches of knowledge to be able to live. However, to go to the other extreme and say that we do not need spiritual knowledge or to give disproportionate emphasis to material knowledge and material development at the cost of our spiritual understanding and development will be a tragedy of the greatest order. So Prahlad told his friends, no, don't think it's too late. This is the right time to begin. So for all those who are under the misapprehension that human life is for enjoyment, or those who think that even if we have to do some religious or spiritual activities, it can be in ripe old age, here is Prahlad saying, no, that is not true. We must start from the age of 5. And also, you see, who knows when death will come? Death can come anytime. If we are going to wait for old age to come, then it may come anytime earlier, then our whole purpose of life will be lost. And what is old age anyway? What is old age? There are different definitions of old age. Somebody may say, I'm only 75 years young. And I'm young at heart and I want to do everything else I did when I was 25 years old. So people in old age, yes, the body takes its toll and there are so many difficulties that come in old age. But old age basically is a time that just precedes death. And because death can come at any time, so therefore any time is old age. So we should begin right now. Also, you see, you know the idea that once you've learned something when you're young, you pick it up very fast. Your mind is fresh. It's like a sponge that picks up all that is taught to it. Somebody told me that psychologists have said, I don't know whether it has been verified and so on and so forth, but it is just hearsay. But anyway, I don't think it is necessarily a big exaggeration. They said that a child's brain is so capable of absorbing enormous amounts of knowledge that we cannot imagine that. As it is, we humans tap only a small percentage of the human brain. The rest of it is practically unused. We don't know how to tap it. And children can learn dozens of languages. The brain has a capacity. For us, if we want to learn a language, a new language, when we are older in age, it's difficult. It is not so easy. If you want to learn 2, 3, 4, 5 languages, all the more difficult. But children, they pick up languages very quickly. One of the mysteries of human psychology is how a child learns any language. Just by listening to others speaking, the child is picking up. But exactly how the mechanics of it works in the brain and so on is very hard to understand. So this brain is a very mysterious thing, and it has the capacity to understand many things in young age. So if we teach the most valuable knowledge to the children when they are at that age, then they will pick up very fast. And also, you see, by the time we get older, not only does it get harder for us to remember things, to learn things, our attention span goes down, our ability to grasp also comes down, but also, importantly, as age goes on, our beliefs become very strong, our attitudes become very rigid, and then we don't want to change the way we think. But children are very happy to change. They don't mind. They will do whatever you say. They're like a piece of clay, plasticine. You mold them whichever way you like and they will become like that. But if you mold them in the wrong way, then their character, their lifestyle, their habits in future will be different. So we have to take the opportunity, the good opportunity that childhood presents to us. And we should give these sanskars, as they are called in the Sanskrit language, to the children so that they can become human beings of noble conduct, of noble character, and of spiritual bent of mind, devotional inclinations. One time when I was in another place, in another country, and I was addressing the alumni of a very prestigious college from India, one of the IITs. And they had emigrated to that country, and that alumni association, there was a lecture. And in the course of that lecture, I happened to mention the importance of giving, because somebody asked that question. And I spoke that it is important to give these spiritual values to children when they are young. So then one gentleman said, but that is like, forcing them. Why should you impose your values on the children? You should not impose. You should let them find their own way in the world. This is very much a modern view nowadays. So then I responded that you see, if you do not give your values or the correct values to your children, the child's mind is open like an open slate, an open board. People are going to write all sorts of things on it. It's like a wall on which people write all sorts of graffiti. So if you don't give the values to your children, then you're setting your child's consciousness and life in default mode. Switch, turn it. And then the whole world will give its values. You don't think that you're not imposing anything. The child is a product of its environment. People are going to impose values on the child. So even when you tell your child, you find your own way, do whatever you like, you're imposing something on him also. You're telling him that he should simply do whatever he likes and finds his way in life, but that is not correct. And I gave the example. I said, suppose your child is speaking a lie. Will you tell him? Will you correct him? He said, yes. I said, why? Are you not imposing your values on him? Why don't you let the child find out for himself whether telling lies is a good thing or a bad thing, or something that he should do or should not do? So, if you do not give proper good values to your children, then you are abdicating your responsibility. You're actually giving up your responsibility to somebody else to do. So I told them, this is the age of outsourcing. So you are outsourcing the upbringing and the character and the consciousness of your children to the outside world. The television, the newspapers, the people in the outside world in general. So now, when you have your children, you have to take responsibility for your children in all respects. Not just in terms of ensuring the physical health of the child, or in terms of ensuring that the child gets good academic education, but the most important thing in education at home and also in the schools and universities is building character and giving spiritual culture and values. And that nobody is doing. That is the tragedy of the modern times. And Prahlad is saying exactly that. And my dear friends, don't think you have to wait till old age. You have to start very young. The children have to be told right from the beginning. For example, don't be jealous of your friend. If your friend has more, don't fight with him or her to get more of that. Don't try to show off more what you have. If you have something more than others, share it with others. There is a God who exists. You are the soul. You must try to love God. You must cultivate the qualities of kindness, compassion. So we must tell them through proper philosophical lessons, according to the level of their understanding, in a language and manner that they can understand. For example, our scriptures, which contain many such stories for our good. I will tell you one such little story that comes to my mind now. You know, when Lord Ram went to Lanka and he defeated Ravan, he conquered Lanka. Then Hanuman came to give Sita the good news. She was in the Ashok Vatika. And when Hanuman came there, she had been surrounded by various other Rakshasis or demonesses who Ravana had assigned to guard her. So Hanuman quietly came to Sita, not being seen by those guards, and he had already met her before, so she knew, hey, Hanuman. And he said, I bring you good news that Lord Ram has defeated Ravana and has emerged victorious in the battle. And now you are free. So please come back with me. She said, no, let Ram should come and take me back. Then Hanuman said, all right. But now all these demonesses who are around here, now I will kill them for you because they have tortured you. They have given you a hard time. So Sita was very compassionate. So she said, no, don't do that. It is not their fault. They were simply following the orders they received from their master. And then she narrated a story. She said, once upon a time, there was a man who was walking in the forest. And suddenly, there was a tiger that came in the way. And the tiger started chasing this man. He fled for his life. He saw the nearest big tree and climbed onto the tree. So the tiger was not able to get him. He climbed as high as he could. And when he went there, all of a sudden, he found that there was a bear on that tree. Now he didn't know what to do. The bear is also a dangerous animal. It could harm us. It is very powerful. So now the man was in a quandary. What should he do? On one side there's the tiger below and then there is the bear on the top. So he was sitting there trembling with fear. The bear noticed this. The bear sat quietly. Then the tiger spoke to the bear and said, "My dear bear, you know, we are animals. So we have a common thing in life. We are friends because we are animals. But this person is a human being. Humans are the enemies of animals. So what you can do is, please push him down for me. And then I'll have my dinner and we can be good friends and I'll also offer my protection to you. Whenever you're in trouble in the forest, I'll come to your aid." So the bear said, "No, I can't do that. This human may be a human, but he has taken my shelter. He has come here seeking protection from me. He is helpless, so I have to help him. I cannot be a traitor to him. I cannot betray his faith in me because he's expecting protection from me. So I will not do that." And then the bear went off to sleep. So the human being was very relieved, that man. He was still trembling with fear. And then after some time when the bear was fast asleep, then the tiger spoke to the human being. "Shh, shh, hear me, I have something very important to tell you." He said, "You know what? This bear, if you just push him down, he will fall to the ground. I will attack him, kill him, and I will have my dinner. And then I promise you protection. Then you come down, and I will personally escort you to safety." So what did the human being do? What do you think he did? He pushed the bear. Humans are humans. Sometimes animals are better than humans. The bear didn't do that. The human being did that. He pushed the bear. So the bear woke up mid-air as he was falling from the top branch, but he recovered in time to hold on to a branch that was below, and he saved himself and hauled himself up on the branch again. But just see, he didn't hesitate to push you down. He betrayed you, although you were very careful to not betray his faith, but he did not have any qualms in betraying you. So why do you want to protect such a person? Better push him down for me. So the bear said, "No. Not only is it my duty to protect those who have taken shelter of me, but also I never do evil to those who do evil to me. It is not my principle that I should harm those who have tried to harm me. One should always be kind and compassionate to everybody, even to those who have tried to harm me, harm on us." So the bear spoke at length of that. And then Sita repeated the story. And she said, "Hanuman, so even though these demonesses have caused me discomfort, and they have used harsh language on me, but still, I should forgive them. I should not try to take revenge on them. This is not good. Because they have done harm to me, I should not try to cause harm to them." And then Hanuman understood. In great respect, he understood the exalted qualities of Sita. Of course, he knew that she was an exalted lady because she was the consort of Lord Ram. And he had heard of her glories, but now he heard it firsthand from her mouth. So similarly, we have many examples like this, which can be told to the children, and they will know what kind of values to have in life. This is how the character builds up for the children. So this kind of story can be understood even by small children. Even the older children will relish it. And I noticed that all of you were also hearing with attention. Even though when I was speaking the little more philosophical parts, your mind was wavering and some were nodding off to sleep. But when I started a story, then everybody was all ears. Yes? So these are simple things. It's not rocket science. It's not that we have to necessarily teach children very complicated things in life. Simple things in life, we teach them and give them spiritual messages. Messages of good conduct, we teach them from our scriptures. And alongside teach them whatever else that needs to be taught, mathematics, language, and any geography and history and so on. That is quite all right. But today we have a situation where people are given only academic knowledge, but no character, hardly any values. Maybe they're taught some manners and so on. Say thank you. Or I find in England the road courtesies are quite good, very nice. People pause, people halt, let others go by first, and the person then waves his hand. In India you will never find it. In India, might be right, just bulldoze your way through. Many good things also in the Western world. We don't condemn any particular civilization as such. We take the good points from everything. If there are good things to learn anywhere, we should be happy to accept them. We don't write off something merely because of its origin. So therefore, the school days are days that are very crucial, days of transformation, where the foundation is set. Any of you are in the construction industry? No? Okay. So you know that when you're building a house and you use cement, it takes time for the cement to set. There's a curing period. You have to put a lot of water and the cement then sets. Till the cement is wet, if you put an imprint in that, then it stays there. And when the cement hardens, then you can't remove it. Unless you plaster it further with something else. So young age is like that. It's like wet cement. You put impressions or some scars over there, then you will get something accordingly in terms of the development of the child in the later age. If you give good sanskars, spiritual culture, spiritual values, spiritual knowledge, then the child will grow up to be a very noble citizen of the world. And if you don't do that, as I said earlier, we are setting the child's brain on default mode. And nowadays, because everybody is working, so they send their children to childcare. They are outsourcing the care of your children. They go to school, they go to childcare, they go to so many other places. So where is the time for the child to receive these values? So to have schools of this nature like Avanti Court, etc., are very important for the society. It is more valuable, more beneficial for human society to produce even one person of spiritual character and value than to have 100 people who may earn millions of pounds but have no character or no values and have no understanding about the goal of life. Because they will not be able to help humanity or the world at all. But when you have children coming out to a system like this, where they have a healthy combination and blend of material academics and training as well as spiritual knowledge and culture, then they will be excellent human beings, great assets for the world in the future. The topic is very interesting and important. And I request all of you to please take this subject very seriously. Take the spiritual life yourself, because that is how the children will follow. Many parents come because they're worried about what will happen to their children considering how bad the environment is. And I tell them, you see, it begins at home. You have to start at home. You have to follow the spiritual culture yourself. Then you will be in a position to teach your children. I often tell that little example of this little boy who answers the phone in the house when it's ringing. And somebody at the other end of the phone says, "So is your father at home?" And he says, "Wait." He goes inside and asks his father, "Father, there's such and such, so and so on the line for you." So the father says, "Tell him I'm not at home." So then he goes and says, "Father is saying he's not at home." Yes. So we're teaching the children right from childhood, tell a lie. It's good to tell a lie. It's all right, you can do it in some circumstances. So this is how we are setting the example. So if we do not have that proper understanding, then how can we pass it on to the next generation? So generation after generation, things are deteriorating in this world. So we can't wait till the person becomes old. Realizing God and understanding God is the ultimate perfection of our life and the real happiness in life. Let's say you want to wish somebody on his or her birthday and you're offering some flowers. Let's say this is a very beautiful garland they offer, very fragrant flowers, and fresh and fragrant. Can you smell it? It's so powerful, this fragrance. But suppose they were to offer me a garland of flowers that were 1 year old, and the petals have wilted, then I would think, what have they done? What is this? Beautiful flowers. So when you offer somebody a flower, you would rather offer a flower that is fresh, that is not wilted, that has not withered. So similarly, when we come to God, and the idea that I will come to God when I'm old, it's like saying, God, when I'm young, when my body is good for my enjoyment, I'll enjoy this world. I won't bother about you. But when this body becomes useless, then I'll come to you and say, God, now I'm ready to serve you. Then God will say, what is the use now? What can your body do for me now? What service can you do for me in this old age? Of course, better late than never. So even if one hasn't got an opportunity in young age to come to spiritual life in a serious way, and one gets that opportunity later on, wonderful, we should do it. There are some examples in the scriptures and also in real life of people who have taken to spirituality very late in age in life. But the sooner, the better. This is the greatest gift we can give to our children. The greatest gift is not simply an education in Eton and Oxford and somehow then getting them a good job where they get some millions of pounds and so on. That's not the greatest gift. These are all perishable gifts, not gifts of substantial value. The real gift that you can give them is to give them spiritual values, culture, and an upbringing that will give them real character and help them to make their human lives successful. Thank you very much. I wish you all the very best in your spiritual pursuit and also for the future of your children. And Madan Mohan Govinda Prabhu and your team of devotees, I thank you all very much for having arranged this program and for having invited me to come here. And thank you very much all of you for having come also for this program and for having patiently heard this lecture. Do we have some time for questions? So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them without hesitation. Yes.
The world is very competitive. The children, when they go to school, they find and it's very competitive in the classrooms when other children are there. Maybe they are not like the same consciousness or background. So suppose a child goes into that kind of distress that my parents are teaching me something which others are not doing, right? And they are forcing me into that. So sometimes I feel that my child, if I ask him, "Oh, this is correct way of doing it," he will like, "Nobody is doing that way. Like you are doing probably wrong." And I was like, "No, this is." It's a kind of imbalance which I feel that teaching a child uh, something which is not very commonly practiced. Please, if you can explain that how we can put it in a better way.
So your question is that when you give your children spiritual values, you're going against the grain of the world. And most people in the outside world and the children also don't follow those things. So the children get disturbed and they say, well, you're asking me to do something, but everybody else is doing the exact opposite. So what is the practicality of it and how do we get over this particular problem? Well, that exactly is the problem. It was not always like this. It has increasingly become like this in the modern age, where things have become extremely materialistic. And therefore now this has become the current. But earlier, this upbringing was there. If you go back even 60, 70 years ago, or I remember when I was growing up in the 60s, it was, we read these things in our school books, the books, in the 70s. We read all these things. So it's a question of doing what is right. Yes, definitely. The current of the world is strong, but if you it's like, for example, if you see somebody getting flown away in the current of the world, are you just going to say, let him get flown away? You better just flow along with it? No, you'll do whatever you can to stop. So all the more reason why we need schools like this, where at least there is some hope, where gradually, bit by bit, a culture can be built up, where the children will have like company. They will have the company of other children who are also taught the same things at home, who believe in certain values and culture. So that is necessary because it is there for supporting the children. And even outside of school, at a social level, those who are of a spiritual bent of mind, who are devotionally inclined, should gather together. That gives even adult support. So their children can also come together, the adults can have programs for them, they will mingle with spiritually minded children of their age, and in this way they will find it easier to tackle these problems. Yes, these are very real problems that you're mentioning, but we do have to address it like this. Any other questions?
Hare Krishna
Yes.
Maharaj. Yes, as you said, children are very easy to mold and all. And we are also trying to do house programs as well, which we call Bhakti Rasamrita, where we do have session for children and parents. So obviously, as we notice, the children is getting very quick. But if we say chant, they are very happily chanting. Even we chant in front of, you can feel that they are really into chanting. But again, they will fall down when, once a week they learn we should chant, we should eat prasadam in spiritual practices. Again, but as a parents, when we're not able to follow the same standard, then how we will balance as a training for adults?
We should follow the standard.
How
Therefore,
we will make up our mind.
The adults also need spiritual help and guidance. The adults need that company, need that association. That's very important. If the adults don't have it, then they won't be able to give it to their children. So, yes, and one reason why the children today are like this is because the parents don't have that training themselves. Or even if they have it, somehow they have not taken it very seriously. Okay, yes, the parents, the adults must do it. Then it's possible to have some good future generations coming up. Otherwise, it's alarming to see the way things are going. Alarming. When I go outside, even in England, India, anywhere, the way the young people today are, it's really a cause of alarm. Statistics is one thing, we can have so many statistics of alarming things. But unless we really get down to seriously addressing this issue, we're going to have a world that is going to become increasingly difficult to live in.
So how to inspire ourselves as a parents that we should have at least our children in front of us, that for them also we need to take it serious. How should we inspire?
I mean, human life is not only about ourselves, is it? It's not just about me. I mean, human life means that it's not just about me. It's about others. So human life is meant for a life of sacrifice. It is meant to sacrifice for the sake of others. Not merely to live a selfish life for myself, to just earn a lot of money and get some name and fame in the society. That's not the only goal of life. So if we understand these values, then we will take the spiritual life very seriously and then continue performing our worldly duties. And there are forums available where serious spiritual practitioners can come and avail of, lectures and so on.
And even furthermore, just one last question. Like, even though we're getting training, we're knowing the things, but as you say, obviously we understand as parents we shouldn't be selfish, at least for our children. We do hard works, we earn money for their comfort, their education, everything. But how, as a parents, we also follow that spiritual life practically, that how we, like, if we have to go to work, job, we really would like to chant, but before that we have to send children, so we can't.
Yes, undoubtedly, it's not an easy life. There's many things to do, many duties, many chores, many responsibilities. So we have to learn the art and science of managing spiritual life, living in the modern day world. And that we learn when we come to what is called satsang, the association of people who are striving to move on the path of spiritual life, of truth. Sat means truth. So the association of saintly people or spiritually minded people or devotees of God. So when we come into such company, we gain knowledge, we gain inspiration, there is guidance, there is support. Then we can become strong in our spiritual understanding and practice. We will also know how to balance our lives so that we can do our worldly responsibilities and at the same time do them in a spiritual frame of mind.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Any other question? Yes.
I seem to have a slightly different experience. I have actually fairly intelligent conversations with very young children, but they seem to have divergent views of spirituality. So in a school unlike this, my daughter goes to a very different school where there are different religions, and they believe very consciously, let's say, in their viewpoint. And every day almost I have to counteract that at home by saying that's not wrong, but this is right. But there's no logical explanation that I can give her as to why that's not the path I'm following. And I struggle with that constantly. And I don't have an answer for it really, to give to a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old. And I just want to know how to tackle that, because I can't really say that what someone else is doing is wrong, because it's not. It's just a different way.
Yes, it is a delicate issue. We are not advocating that we condemn everybody else as being wrong. No, that's not what we're saying. There is certainly diversity in this world, and we should respect that diversity. We should live and let live. We should respect others' beliefs. We should not forcibly try to impose our beliefs on them. We should not ridicule people for their beliefs. And at the same time, we also may have our beliefs. And we can also be steadfast in our beliefs. So the question is of providing the children an appropriate atmosphere and training to become, shall we say, steadfast in that spiritual understanding. So, if a child comes in with, let's say, some thoughts on what some other people or children are saying or doing, that's all right. But as far as we are concerned, these are the values we want to give you. So if you yourself are exposed to spiritual company, if you yourself are being trained spiritually and are practicing it seriously in your life, then you will be able to give that to your children. As I said earlier, the main reason why today children do not have those values or that understanding spiritually is because the parents don't have it. Or the parents haven't been trained to answer the questions of their children. And children many times ask very good questions. And if we are not trained, we won't have the answers to give them. And that's when they get confused. So therefore, before we train our children or alongside, we should also train ourselves. Then the task will become easier. We will be trained not only in the knowledge, spiritual knowledge, but also about how we should present it, even to children. For example, I gave a little story about the bear and the tiger and the human. It's a simple thing. A 5-year-old can understand it very easily. So you can tell such things to your children and gradually bring them to also higher understanding of other spiritual knowledge about our spiritual nature and so on. So we need exposure to that knowledge first. Then we can give it to our children. Okay? Is any other question? You have one, okay.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for giving a very enlightening way of doing ourselves and giving to children as well. We have recently started Bhakti Prahlad, thing in the Bhakti Vrikshas, which we have Bhakti Vrikshas in different areas in East London. So we are trying to get obviously parents and children also for that particular forum, where we can teach children obviously the values and from Bhagavad Gita shlokas, kirtan and different dramas and other things. But we are facing a bit difficulty for getting more children in that forum, because children, when we talk to parents, they say that my child has to go for the badminton, swimming, football club, and there are so many things which is definitely valid, considering their different schools. So how we can attract them to come to this weekly, once in a week forum?
First, the parents should understand the importance. Of course, time is limited and we have so many competing demands for that time. But if the parents are convinced about the need for giving this kind of spiritual upbringing to their children, then they will somehow or the other find the time to do it. They can play their sports, they can have their extracurricular activities, and at the same time, there should be some time reserved for spiritual activities also. So if the parents are not convinced, then this will not happen. So we have to spread this knowledge far and wide. Those who like it, to those whom this appeals, they will come forward. And it will be easier for them to give it to their children as well. Otherwise, it may be hard. Because naturally, you don't want to do anything to the children against the wishes of the parents. Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you for coming here once again, and we wish you all the very best for your spiritual journey ahead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.